Hello Internet, and welcome to another spooky episode of Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder, the show that teaches us all what happens when we finally start being real. Today's episode explores... Is secretly terrifying not overplayed at this point? Like, I wrote this episode, but I know we're not going to strike terror in anyone's hearts, whatever, it's fine. Anyway, Toy Story is an almost universally beloved franchise about what if toys were alive, and now I'm going to ruin it because I'm on the wrong side of history. There's a dark Toy Story prequel movie we're never gonna get. I know they're working on a fourth Toy Story right now, and I also know that it's going to be a love story between Bo and Woody. All this means we're not going to get the Toy Story movie I want, which is the prequel about why the toys decided to be servants in the first place. Toys are alive, but by the time we meet them in the first Toy Story movie, all of them except Buzz, and as we will learn in the future subsequent Buzz toys, know that they're toys. They collapse and pretend to be inanimate whenever a human is around because they know that they're not allowed to be alive, which is insane. At some point in the past of this timeline, something happened. The toys were taught that theirs was a life of servitude, or they tried to coexist with humans and that didn't work, and there was a conflict that beat them into submission, but something happened that brought us to the current status quo where toys are willing slaves to pleasure the humans they know will eventually discard them. Nothing is born knowing servitude. Something must have happened to get all toys everywhere to be on the same page, and what the was that? What could have happened to the toys to convince them that even though they're all immortal, they need to pretend to be inanimate for children, planet Earth's export. The toys accept their low place in the world. Even the most rebellious among them, like Stinky Pete and Lotso, don't do anything to change the status quo. I can't fathom an event that would make humans behave that way, which means whatever happened to the toys to make them embrace a life of silent servitude is worse than something I could imagine. And it happened at some point to those toys. We'll never see that story. We'll never know why the toys chose this life. Probably because that would be a terrible movie for children. It would ruin the children. But hey, speaking of ruined children, Andy, the friendless virgin, is the kind owner of all the toys in the Toy Story saga. He seems like a perfectly nice kid, but in Toy Story 3, he is still talking to and very possessively fond of his toys and dolls. He's 17. He's about to go off to college to spend 4 years not f***ing, and he's like, should I throw out my Mr. Potato Head? I don't know. You've got bigger problems, Andy.
You really think I should donate these?
No one has held on to a Mr. Potato Head for as long as Andy has.
You gotta keep them together, because they're madly in love.
I understand holding on to a few things for sentimental value. There are certainly things in my apartment that I don't use but will still never throw out. But he's still been hanging on to the Slinky dog all this time? Look at the design. It can't even function as an actual, honest-to-Christ, stair-going-down Slinky. It ruins the best part of Slinkies and dogs. Am I the asshole? I didn't think so. Why is no one talking about this? Also, why do you still have it? Andy, did you not get any additional toys or hobbies between the first and third movies? Or is your goofy-ass T-Rex toy a real hit with the ladies you don't bring home? Why is Andy still keeping all of these toys around? He asked, prepared to answer it immediately. Great question. It's because I don't think he has any friends. Or at least, he doesn't seem to have any good friends. A big plot point in the first Toy Story revolves around Andy's birthday party. All the toys are freaking out because they're worried that Andy is gonna get cool new toys from his friends, and then he won't have a place in his life for his old toys. But it's fine, they don't have to worry about anything after all, because none of his friends brought exciting toys. Few. Andy's friends are dog shit. Not one of them brought a present that Andy actually used ever in the entire run of the franchise. One of them brought bed sheets, and the characters the Potato Head even knows that that's a bad gift.
Okay, it's bed sheets.
Who invited that kid?
It can't be stressed enough. The thing is right, bed sheets are awful gifts. If I had a child and it wanted to give another child bed sheets, I'd have to be like, hey, wife, bad news. Our kid's obviously a serial killer. Definitely don't let him give bed sheets to other children. But this isn't about Andy's clearly disturbed friends. It's about clearly disturbed Andy. He's got a social disease of some kind, right? That's the only explanation I can muster when faced with the evidence, which, to recap, 1, his friends give him terrible presents that suggest they don't really know anything about Andy, implying that he has problems connecting with people. 2, he has an unusual attachment to the toys that he should, by all rights, have outgrown. Forget about it. What even is the logic for the title of these? Whatever. Here are some undeniable truths. The toys are immortal. The toys exclusively exist to be played with. That's how they experience joy. They were not thrust into this world gasping for meaning like some kind of dumb human. They burst onto the scene with a known singular purpose, to play and be played with. Toy Story 3 is almost entirely about how the toys are worried that Andy has outgrown them, and they're saved at the end when they find a new young child to be their owner. And it's a great walk off into the sunset moment, except that girl is also going to grow up and also no longer care about having all of those toys around. The best case scenario for the toys is to be constantly handed down to younger children forever, but that is in no way a sustainable model because Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head are redundant right f***ing now. At best, the toys will have a few more years, but at worst, and at most likely, they're going to end up in a dump, or a sewer, or under a solid inch of dust in the attics of the forgotten past. What even Whatever. Let's talk about Sid. You and I know that the toys are alive in the Toy Story universe. And you and I know that Sid is a monster because he destroys and tortures a bunch of living, sentient things. But you know who doesn't know that? Sid, lonely, friendless Sid, who was by all accounts a very creative child, had no idea the toys he was Frankensteining had hearts and souls and personalities. He was just taking a bunch of old, used toys and remaking them to be the kinds of toys he wanted, a thing that I and a lot of other restless, imaginative people did as children. That's a true story. I was into wrestling action figures as a kid, and if they didn't sell the wrestlers that I wanted, my buddy Chris and I would get together and build our own action figures with sanders and paint and that modeling clay that you can harden if you bake it. We used a lot of parts from other action figures and repurposed them. It was very delicate work, actually, that... Oh, you! The point is, I reworked and broke a lot of toys because I liked making and building and being creative, and inventing my own action figures kept me off the streets. If you had told me that all of the toys I'd been manipulating had thoughts and brains and souls, and that I was hurting them, I'd never be able to live with myself. At the end of Toy Story, when Woody and the other toys come out to Sid, it looks like a victory for all the toys, but really they're basically telling Sid, a child with no friends and what is clearly a tough home life, hey, you're like a little Hitler, did you know that? You thought you were playing with toys, secondhand toys providing you the only joy you have in your life. No, sorry, you've been Hitlering this whole time. You're a monster. Also, toys are real, and they're everywhere, and they are always watching you. He'll never be able to go to sleep again because toys are immortal and unstoppable, and holy hell, there's millions of them.
So play nice.
Woody, you f***ing maniac. Also, Sid's the only one in the world who knows that toys are alive, and no one will ever believe him. He was already a weird, troubled outcast, and this is just gonna push him even farther to the fringe of society. Toy Story has a history with side characters whose lives get ruined. In Toy Story 2, Al of Al's Toy Barn, he's been saving and preserving rare toys his entire life. He kept Stinky Pete, that prospector, in the box for God knows how long. And then he finds Woody at a garage sale, and his whole life of saving toys gets paid off. His plan was not to destroy Woody, but to sell him to a museum so Woody and his whole gang could be safe forever. Well, he'll never get the chance, because all the toys make a daring escape saving Woody and the whole damn Woody gang. Al booked a ticket to Japan to sell these toys, an expensive ticket he only booked because he thought he was coming into his fortune.
Yes! Yes! You got a deal! I'll be on the next flight to Japan!
And now he's broke and broken. What kind of lesson is that? He was a collector who spent his life preserving toys, and the movie was like, no, f this guy, we hate him, he's fat, he doesn't deserve happiness. He must be so confused because his toys just like, f***ed off, he'll never know what happened to them. They disappeared. It's a real bummer. What? The f***? We don't even get, like, a lightning round? We usually get... Okay, the episode's over, I guess. That's some other stuff I wanted to, but it's fine. Andy's dad split on the whole family, that's clear, right? That's not meant to be a hugely depressing thing. Plenty of people grow up being raised by a single parent, and they turn out just fine. It's obviously not a death sentence or anything. I just bring it up because it's like, it's obvious to me. There was a father in the picture, but then he left shortly after the baby sister was born. He didn't die, he walked out on his family. That's why there's no dad in any of the Toy Story movies. That's why they move at the end of the first movie into an objectively smaller house. That's why Andy clings so hard to a cowboy and an astronaut, two glaring symbols of conventional male authority. He's no father figure in his life. Of course he's gonna turn to analog for John Wayne and Neil Armstrong, of course. Kid needs a hero. Really though, Andy, you need a hero? Go ask mom. Single mother raising 2 kids and a dog? That's a hero in this guy's book. Anyway, join us next week when our topic will be why Andy from Toy Story is clearly a child of divorce. Oh, we were gonna do it? Okay. Sounds like we'll be able to dig into that next time. That's nice. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching that video. Make sure you subscribe and you watch other videos. And in the comments, tell me what I did wrong. What did I miss? What's secretly not depressing about Toy Story? That's a terrible prompt. The movie itself is not depressing. And it's not a secret. You know what? Don't even comment at all.